So LSRW is the method in which a baby learns English. And when a baby, biggest stress that my parents had with me was that I was sarcastic for no reason. Third concern they had was that instead of sleeping at night, I would form a tent in my bedroom, use a torch and read the book.
Oh my goodness.
Get the time to ask. I didn't. But I was lucky enough for that one lecture that I attended which led me to the right path. So I think that is how my interest grew.
It's wonderful. So next question.
Even I encourage for them to bunk.
Okay, the next.
मुझे लगता है कि वो जो एक कैफे कल्चर था ना, back then when I was in college we used to have.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Legal Vibes. In today's episode, we are so honored to have Sreelakshmi Ma'am. She is our English professor and a mentor we truly admire. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
So thank you so much for coming into our podcast.
Always.
Okay, so let's start.
Yeah.
So my first question is, how do you manage to learn something new every day, especially when most students today spends a lot of their time procrastinating or scrolling through reels on their social media?
I think it has something to do with me not being very close to the Gen Z. But most of the time I learn something new because I'm interacting with the younger generation. Like few days back somebody taught me what is FOMO. But apart from that, I think all those who work in this field teaching, we learn something new because we are constantly at the need of interacting with the newer generation. So we have to. I mean there are days when I come with a very narrow mindset, but I meet the students and then I'm like, okay, this is where I need to put in efforts. This is what I need to learn new. So I think it has something to do with my job.
And those students who are doing this, what advice do you give to them to not?
Procrastination and scrolling. First of all, I have sympathy for all the new generation, but truth be told. And the reason being it's my generation that is selling this to you, honestly. It's the millennials who have come up with this grand scheme that if we keep showing you new content, anything, be it good, be it bad, it is our plan to get you addicted. All these top CEOs and heads of these companies are all millennials around, your professor's age group, and they know how to distract you. And I think we use that technique with your classes also. How to distract you, let you bring back to the class, how to, turn yourself around. So I think first of all I have sympathy for all the new generation because you are so stuck in the middle of this applications that even if you want to, chahte hue bhi, it's almost impossible for you to get out of that loop. So one advice that I always give to students is if you can maintain human contact over these applications, it will immediately bring down the scrolling. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वो जो एक कैफ़े कल्चर था ना, back then when I was in college we used to have this कैफ़े कल्चर कि हम बाहर गए, मिले दोस्तों से, कुछ बात की, तो हम मिलने के लिए इंस्टाग्राम या व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेज ज़रूर डालते थे, बट एक बार मिल जाए तो then we don't sit with those applications. And I think because of COVID, it has become a habit that all of your meetings also happen, all the conversations, all the gossips also happen in the phone. So I would suggest कि it's something that we are working on as well, कि क्लासरूम्स में भी हम ऐसा एक पीरियड रखें जहाँ पे आपको एक दूसरे से बात करने का मौका भी मिले, लाइब्रेरी पीरियड हो, फ्री पीरियड हो. So I sometimes even encourage for them to bunk.
Okay, the next question is, for someone who dreams of becoming a professor one day, what guidance would you like to share? And for new or beginner teachers, what habit or values can help them to grow?
I think a lot of people, there are two kinds of people who join into the teaching field. One are people who have always wanted to be here. I was not one of those people. I don't think I ever had the dream that I want to go into teaching field. It's just something that naturally happened. This was supposed to be a side hustle for me, but this has become my major work environment. तो जो दूसरे टाइप के लोग होते हैं वो ऐसे है कि they venture a lot and then they come to teaching. They find this solace, they find this peace, they find themselves in teaching. And then there are people, I fall into that category. Then it was never my dream. But then I remember finishing my masters, and during my masters I gave some lectures to students, and I thoroughly enjoyed that over advertising, over marketing. आई कम फ्रॉम इंग्लिश लिटरेचर बैकग्राउंड, तो उसमें ये सब ऑप्शंस होते हैं. सो अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस आई थिंक it's my only advice is कि if you are someone who's exploring, you should do that till you find. But if you are hell bent that this is what you want to do, then one good skill to have would be to constantly read and learn. बाकी सारे fields में, corporate में, आप एक age, एक उम्र के बाद, एक professional designation के बाद learning habit बंद हो जाता है. In teaching we can't do that. We are always researching, we are always publishing something, we are always reading something new. So if you don't have the habit of learning constantly, this is not the field for you.
Okay. Ma'am, could you please tell us how your interest in the English subject developed?
Okay. Long story, short में. I have always been a science student, and my interest was towards because science मेरे लिए इसका मतलब ये होता था. I think आप लोग के लिए भी एक for a very long period it must have been कि it's either science or it's maths, I believe so. ये PCM, PCB वाला ही concept रहता है. So for me it was mostly about that I'm innately very sensitive to emotions. I feel like I try to be kind every day. So you associate such features with doctors, with people who are more, into the medical sector. So that was the scheme that was in my head, that because I have these qualities I would do well. But then there was a side of me that connected to kindness because I was reading a lot. मुझे अभी भी याद है कि one of my biggest stress that my parents had with me was that I was sarcastic for no reason and witty for no reason. I would use language beautifully, and the third concern they had was that instead of sleeping at night, I would form a tent in my bedroom, use a torch and read the book.
Oh my goodness.
So when I took science, my arts teacher was the only teacher who was surprised. And I remember I finished, and I in fact gave NEET exam as well. But by that time, I remember attending a lecture of a professor in MSU. I had come here for a holiday to meet my relatives, attended the lecture, saw the beauty of the campus, and I was drawn towards it. Gave the exam, got cleared, and within the first 2 classes, I knew that this is what I want to do. So I quit everything else. And I became a bachelor's of arts students in MSU. वहाँ से I have only picked up more languages. I don't think I have ever looked back. कई बार लोगों को regret होता है कि उन्होंने science छोड़ दिया या they didn't pick science. Honestly, I've never had that problem. I've always wanted to do this. It just took me some time and guidance. So one thing that I always think is that students should have is उनको space मिलना चाहिए to listen to their own voice. इतनी शोर होती है in your curriculum, in your schedule, that you never get the time to ask. I didn't, but I was lucky enough for that one lecture that I attended, which led me to the right path. So I think that is how my interest grew.
It's wonderful. So next question is, according to you, how important is learning English for today's students, especially from a career perspective?
Okay, I am very big on keeping our culture and our language alive. Although in fact, I am someone who's learning Malayalam from scratch abhi. So I grew up in Gujarat, Maharashtrian area. We traveled a lot because of my dad's job. So I never had the opportunity to converse or write in Malayalam. So my native language Malayalam. So the only time that I've had conversation in Malayalam is with my family. And I'm big on serving, keeping our culture intact, because I think there is nothing more beautiful than what India has that any of the other countries have. But when I look at it from a global perspective, बात यह है कि कुछ खूबसूरत कहानियाँ जो भी है, what we read, be it love stories like Romeo and Juliet, be it a comedy play. In English you have a lot of comedy of manners. Maharashtrian plays भी है. There was this one that I was reading, Silence the Court is in Session. Good Marathi play. It is a translated play. So I had, and वो read करते वक्त ऐसा है कि मुझे I don't know Marathi, but such a beautiful play that would be far from me if I did not know English. So the importance of English is that we cannot look at ourselves selfishly as part of a small area. India is not meant to be hidden in a small part of the world. It is meant to be known all around. And the only way we can do that is if we know a language that can spread that culture across. मुझे ऐसा, I mean, you can see that yoga, which belongs to our country,
Yes,
which belongs to our tradition, is such a hit in other countries. So much so that I believe, I'm not sure how right this information is, but कुछ टाइम पहले योगा का पेटेंटशिप लेने की कोशिश की गई थी किसी यूरोपियन कंट्री या ब्रांड के दौरान, एंड इट वाज वन ऑफ आवर पीपल हु फॉट फॉर इट. पेटेंट लेना यानी कि वो उनके नाम पे हो जाता है. So that's quite a scary thing. That's something that we grew, something that our ancestors grew, to lose that and somebody making money out of it that doesn't even belong to that culture. So I think we need the language so that we can protect our culture. So ये जो एक माहौल है that learning English actually brings our culture down, no. I think it helps us preserve our community outside of our community. यानी कि मेरा culture मुझ तक सीमित ही नहीं if I write it in English. So career-wise, culture-wise, development-wise, we need English because we want our talent, we want our culture, we want our tradition to reach far, not be limited to India. So I think I emphasize this in my class as well. कि it's not about कि तुम अंग्रेज हो गए अगर तुम English सीख रहे. It's about making sure that what you are doing is out there representable. तुम हिंदी में कब तक यूरोपियंस को बता सकते हो कि our culture is this and so wide. So that is why you need English.
Okay. The next question is, while teaching in class, what common problems do you notice among students in learning English?
In learning English, mostly जिस चीज़ के बारे में अभी बात करी थी, एक image है English का that it came from Britishers, but the beauty of India is that कि जो लोग colonize करके they brought that language to our country, and today Europeans study something called as Indian English literature. By the way, we don't study it here unless you are in master's program in arts, but Indian English is a branch that is studied in Europe. You will find a lot of European professors working on Indian mythology and Indian stories and Indian culture. Dalit literature पे काम होता है यूरोप में, यहाँ लोग नहीं कर रहे हैं, बाहर कर रहे हैं. So I believe Britishers colonized a lot of places during the colonization era, Victorian era के दौरान. But it happens that India was the only country that managed to make that language turn into a version of our own. बहुत लंबी story है, you should read about it. बाबू English कहते हैं.
Okay.
Yeah, that is how English entered. That they taught Indian servants some broken English so that they could serve the Europeans.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And now we are one of the largest countries that speaks English. And our population is double, triple the time that Europe would ever have. So I think it's a win that they tried to serve their culture and we Indianized it. So the beauty is that you can give anything to India and there is zero chance that it will not come out more flourished. So I think the struggle that I face is to change that mentality in the classroom, that learning English does not mean कि आपने अपने culture से हाथ छोड़ दिया. It only means that now you can represent your culture and yourself in 2 more languages. Your native language where you're studying and 1 more language. You learn French, German, then you'll know 1 more language in which you can, translate. Yeah, it's like तुम्हारे मन की बात अब तुम 4 भाषा में बोल सकते हो. So that is the only struggle I face. मुझे बाकी जो डिफरेंस होता है इकोनॉमिकल बैकग्राउंड का, कुछ बच्चे काफ़ी पॉश स्कूल से आते हैं, कुछ बच्चे some of them come from a relatively less posh school. So but almost all the time it is never that a student is not bright enough. ऐसा कभी ही नहीं हुआ है. I've never had a dumb student in the class, क्योंकि I believe कि no student gets up in the morning and thinks कि मैं तो आज इस पेपर में फेल होके आऊँगा. Nobody wants to do that. So I believe it's just the mentality, a give up mentality that I come from a less fancy school, so I can never compete. In your batch itself, I believe I've seen kids who have gone from barely speaking in the class to now winning moot court competitions.
Yes, ma'am.
I keep coming across your posters everywhere and I keep seeing, oh, okay, they've made it this far, so I did something. And yeah, that's the only barrier I feel in a classroom. Otherwise, I don't think there's any problem.
Okay. The next question is, for students who hesitate to speak English, what simple tips would you give or suggest?
Unfortunately, there is no shortcut. The only shortcut that I have used for English is I've watched a lot of English movies because I fancied, I'm going to say this on camera and probably get into trouble for saying this as well. You find them so much more prettier. So I was obsessed with this vampire series. Very obsessed, unnecessarily obsessed, I would say, so much so that my mother was scared that I would try to become one at some point. I would Google and research about how do these people turn into vampires, is that possible? And it took me some time, but you know, I eventually grew my interest in Indian mythology because of that. हमारे देश में because we don't have Indian mythology in different languages, है ना? आपको रामायण भी सुन के आपने सुना होगा. You have never read it. You have never studied it. So I think that because I could see European mythology on screen, so I ended up watching it and getting fascinated a lot, and that's where half of my English is coming from. If you think this is here because some teacher thought कि मुझे श्रीलक्ष्मी को English पढ़ाना है, ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ. It happens just like it happens in every school and college. A teacher comes, teaches you grammar, teaches you how to speak, but the effort has been from my side. So one thing that my teachers did was remove that mentality that English की वजह से तुम अपना culture भूल जाओगे, and I think that is what helped me. So I was always fascinated to learn. So I think this happens when you put in the effort to learn more. So yeah, that is how I learned English. So the only shortcut के नाम पे अगर मैं कोई कुछ चीज़ बताती हूँ बच्चों को, तो it is that watch English content. And you watch it your genre, है ना? Sometimes if I don't like to stereotype like that, but if you are into science fiction, तो तुम science fiction का देखो. तो तुमको romantic comedy पसंद है तो romantic comedy देखो. Yeah, I am a sucker for romantic comedy. So I keep watching a lot of very cringe-worthy romantic movies because that is the only thing that makes me believe in life. So that was the last thing that I watched. I think I'm recently thinking about wanting to learn Korean.
Oh.
Because they have these wonderful, opportunities of student exchange and even conversation. And I was supposed to watch a very serious movie. But then I was like, no, I want to watch how the romantic movies run there. And I think it's Korean. Something very silly, but I enjoyed it. I can't remember the name, but very silly. I enjoyed it very much. And then I watched My Liberation Notes. Very beautiful. Simple story, very beautiful. Okay. So no shortcuts, only one advice, that if you are not into reading because of your social media, then watch content in English.
Okay. In your opinion, what is more important for becoming a good English learner? Reading, writing or speaking?
Reading and speaking.
Not writing.
Writing I would rate at the end. है ना?
Okay.
And why I would say that, I'm saying this considering कि एक certain level तक किसी को English पता है. So LSRW is the method in which a baby learns English. है ना? When a baby is born, what you see is the baby observes. जैसे आप note करना कभी, they are always observing you. They will hold your face very close and then they will try to see क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे, क्या हो रहा है. They try to see that first. So they first listen. है ना? So that is why we see L. Then they start to repeat what you're saying. So mama says mama and then बच्चा रोता है और उसको याद आती है मम्मी की, तो they say mama. So then the speaking happens, LS, and then the reading happens. कि mama कहाँ लिखा हुआ है, ये where is milk written on the shelf, where is sugar written on the shelf, and then you write. So if someone wants to excel, the best way to learn a language will be to follow that LSRW pattern. So I always say if you want me to rate what is more important, the first is listening. And I'm assuming कि अगर तुम जिस learners की बात करें वो सुनने के लिए ready है. In that scenario, speaking, reading, if you can master these two, writing would come naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, then you only have to figure out spellings. That is it.
The next one is, what habits should students develop in their daily life to improve their English better?
Watch movies.
Okay.
It's fun.
Okay. Ma'am, could you share some motivational message for students who feel scared or nervous?
While speaking English or in general?
In general.
In general. I think...
Like stage fear or presenting something.
Okay. Oh my god, it's a dense question. So large in nature. I think a lot of that comes because of low self-esteem.
thanks for watching. I hope this video finds you informative, and see you in the next video. Until then, keep loving, keep supporting the legal vibes.